dispersing. All right, we're live on Facebook. Yeah, it looks good, right?
It looks great. We look like adults here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that couch upstairs seriously needs to get. It's from the blue jeans. It turns it all
Taylor
blue.
has the cleaner.
Special cleaner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Robert. I'm joined by my partner, Jason Bible, and we are from Mr. Texas Real Estate. And this is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Hey, thanks for joining us. As always, we appreciate you guys spending a little time with us, whether you're watching us live in the recording on YouTube or on Facebook, whether you're listening on a podcast or you're listening to us on 1070 The Answer. So, love it.
It's awesome.
Yep. So, I want to go through this. I'm really trying to stay off of social media.
It's I put a post out there, and I might talk about this at some point, but no, it's something we've talked about on the radio show. I put a big Trump post out there this past weekend, something you and I have talked about, where I basically said, thanks, Trump, for handing Georgia to the Democrats. Mm-hmm. And all of you crazies talking about civil war, you're about to hand the House and the Senate at the midterms and probably Biden re-election. Wow. And everyone thinks I'm crazy. Yeah. And then half of the people that were, let me put it this way, half of the folks were insane, absolutely insane. And then the other half of the people who happen to be conservatives.
Wake up, brother.
Yeah, it's all that nonsense.
Wake up. Jason.
We're like, and then a bunch of folks said, we started looking at the data, especially voter turnout, and Jason's got a point. I'm like, It's real simple. Don't tell everybody it's a fraud and then expect them to turn out and vote. It's kind of that simple. So
yeah, that whole mess absolutely, in my mind, certified Biden for a second term.
I think there's
unless something bigger
there.
comes back and flips it the other way.
There's some big concerns there.
Yeah, he's going to be daddy, and he's going to take care of everyone, and that's it.
Enjoy that rent moratorium till September 2021.
Well, unless you know how to get around it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that was craziness, and we'll break that down a little bit more in one of these shows. I just like to get more information in.
So there's that's going on social media. At least that's what's going on in my stuff.
Well, yes, I see a lot of that. Yeah, there's definitely crazies, and they've, they really seem to have a safe harbor in real estate, don't they?
They do. I think that has something to do with the fact that if you're in real estate, here's what I've found. About 50% of the folks in real estate have some, oh man, I don't know if I want to cross this Rubicon here.
They have free time.
Maybe that's what it is.
They have free time to go down those rabbit holes.
That's probably a good way to put it. I'm going to put together a show at some point just based off another podcast I watched from one of the groups I'm in, where it's essentially they were talking about what's the point of all these protests and riots and civil war when at the end of the day how is that really going to improve your life? Like sitting on Nancy Pelosi's desk. How exactly is that? Actually, it's not, because you're probably going to get 5 years in federal time.
At least 5. Yeah.
You're going to get at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And by the way, the sentence doesn't get reduced for time served or good behavior. You don't do that in federal prison.
And, there's still 6 months of investigation here.
Mm-hmm.
The House and the Senate haven't even started their investigation. They will.
Yeah.
Right? So we're just really preliminary stuff. But
So I'm reading all this craziness on Facebook, and I'm like, why are you not buying another apartment? Why are you not buying another house? Why are you not raising more money?
why are you not?
Like, what are you doing? You're spending all your time on this wasteful nonsense. Like and one of the webinars I was watching this weekend, all these guys basically said that. They were like, you know what? I bet if you go to all those protesters and you check out like the balance sheet and their wealth and their income and how they live and all, and a good portion of them like, do I really want the life of that person? And here they are allegedly representing half of the country.
Well, 40%.
And I'm not buying it. I'm like, this is so stupid. It's beyond stupid at this point. But maybe this is what Jordan Peterson said. What do you do with that?
Yeah, that 20%.
20% of the population.
On either side, right?
On both sides. But I don't know. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous to me. Like, what did you think you actually accomplished? And then all the people who parrot those things on Facebook, I'm like, why are you wasting your time? You could be buying real estate. But so let's do a little comparison. So that's going on.
Yep.
And then this wasn't a joke. I was actually serious. I take the first 2, if not 3 weeks off from the gym because it's always a madhouse.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So sure enough, I was there MLK Day.
Can't even find parking.
That's right. Can't find parking. It's crazy. I was there in the morning and I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, where did everybody go?
There you go.
Oh, they must be on Facebook or they're waiting for the QAnon. Trump's going to turn the election out. Nonsense. It's like, whatever, dude. Whatever rabble. And then, of course, these will be the same guys that are at the real estate club meeting saying, well, Jason, I don't know how you guys are finding deals. There's no deals out there.
There's no deals out there.
And we just pulled 6 from MLS. I'm like, whatever, man.
Okay, yeah. Closing 10 in a 7-day period.
Yeah, we're closing 10. I closed 5, Thursday?
Yep.
I bought 5 in one transaction on Thursday. While everybody was arguing back and forth about the election was stolen and all that nonsense. I'm like, whatever, dude. So I took this show completely off the rails.
No, this is really good because what happens is you find yourself going down that spiral. And it's like, well, how do these people get into it? It's like, oh, I know very well. They find one person finds them and they move on.
Oh, because we're talking about the 5 closest people,
that's
right?
It. Boom, they get sucked in that world.
They get
The next
sucked
thing you
into
know,
all this nonsense.
All 5 around them are just crazies, right?
Yeah.
Crazy town banana pants. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's how they go down that hole. You think, wow, this woman's got a radio show. She's got a brokerage. She's making a ton of money. She didn't take the bus. She didn't ride in her truck to Washington. She took a private jet.
Yeah, so if you guys are missing this, there's a broker in Austin.
North Texas.
North Texas. I don't know if it's Dallas, Fort Worth, or wherever.
Yep.
And so she jumped on her private jet, put her MAGA hat on, and started storming the Capitol.
Yes.
And
with
now,
the people.
With the people, yeah. And now Har is actually talking about, like, I don't know what they call it, disbarring her as an agent,
well, that's
whatever
the least
it's
of her
called.
problems because she did go in.
Yeah, so she's going to do jail time.
Well,
So, allegedly.
Allegedly. What happens is she gets sucked into that world, right? Now it's like, it's like flying up to Notre Dame to see UT play Notre Dame in your private jet because you're a successful guy, right?
Right.
But you went to D.C. to go to the rally, and then next thing you know, you get swept up and you're inside the Capitol holding a piece of Nancy Pelosi's sign, right? And it's like, hey.
You're an idiot.
You're going to jail for that.
Yeah.
Right? Your life, at least for the next 5 to 10 years, is devastated.
In fact, your life, your income, because I shouldn't say HAR, Trek is talking about taking away her license.
Of course. There's more than one, right? So there's tons of those people, and you just kind of get sucked up into that world. We understand it. I think, conversely, when people talk about the five closest people, and so that's what I've been seeing. I've been seeing all these self-help stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
All the improvement, because it's New Year's and all that stuff. And what I've been seeing is, get a better set of friends. And I'm like, I agree. You got to go find rich people to hang out with. I don't agree.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to hang out with
It's like, hold on a second. You're really missing it.
You're missing the whole point.
You're missing a lot of stuff there. It's not because, there's other pitfalls with other people. Don't there's a lot of rich people that are crazy, right? The guy with Tony, what's his name, who died, we talked about him.
Oh, Tony Hish.
Yeah. Hish. So you got to be careful, but it's really talks, and we talk about it all the time. Stop and just do a self-analyzation. Who are the 5 closest people to me? Write it down on a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Start there. And you don't need to replace them with Elon Musk and Richard Branson and all this.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I want to go get my picture taken. No, hold on, dude.
John McAfee is crazy. You don't want to be within 100 yards of that guy. Right. Like, but he's a billionaire. I'm like, but he's the wrong billionaire for you to chat with. In fact, why would you even talk with a billionaire?
Yeah, what can he do for you?
I met 2 this year because we're kind of down that path. But if I met those folks 3 years ago, they would have been a complete waste of my time.
They're not writing you a check. Trust me.
No, they're not.
In fact, most of the time they take your check.
That's right.
Hey, this is Robert and Jason with Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We are talking about the 5 closest people around you, the influencers, and we're going to continue on that when we come back from the break. But if you want to get a hold of us, if you want to check us out, you can go to our website, mrtxre.com. It's almost ready. The new one is almost ready. A-Rock's got to do some videos. And then we have, if you want to text us, you can always reach us at 281-401-9008, 281-401-9008. That's text only. Hey, we'll be back. Stripping?
To strap this down.
Oh. This, there we go.
All right. Bang them out, A-Rock.
Yep.
Lunch is calling.
Lunch, 12:45.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Today we're talking about the 5 closest people to you that have the most influence on your life. And so, yeah, let's go back to that. When you get these real estate investors together, like, I just need to hang around rich people. I'm like, no, you don't. There's the way I look at this, there are 2 elements someone has to fulfill in order for me to kind of bring them into that circle.
Sure.
One is, are they in a place that I'd like to be in the future?
Mm-hmm.
And B is, how far ahead are they? So it's great to have somebody that's 20 years, 25 years but ahead of you, but that doesn't help. I want to meet that person that's in the place I want to be 3 to 5 years from now.
Exactly.
That's the person I'm looking for that's going to be in that 5.
And because they're in it and they're still living it and their memories are fresh, they're typically going to be a little more supportive than, the billionaire who charges... I'm not going to mention the guy, but there's a guru out there who charges people to sit down
with a billionaire
and do a 3-question video, and it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Because they all ask the same silly questions, right?
Oh my God, it's horrible questions, and God bless that guy, but man, he's getting paid $5,000 for a 5-minute video, and that is not what we're talking about. You don't need that type of... Hey, man, Michael Irvin's coming through. I'm going to pay $10,000 to get my picture taken with Michael Irvin and Magic Johnson. And I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that
What are you going to open? So anyone back in the East Coast, the only thing that's good for is if you open a pizza place.
Oh, yeah. You got all the
need the
famous
pictures on the wall. Yeah, that's the only thing it's good for. We're talking about the people that can help you on your journey. Okay? And I want to first recognize, and this came to me last night, and I'll tell a little story. I lived with musicians for a long period of time in my 20s and 30s. Living with musicians, guys were in the studio, recording engineers, guitar players, bass players, drummers, bands, all over the place. It was always a fun place to live. And at one point, I kind of made fun of a guy, and this other guy stepped up and said, well, man, let me know when you write your songs. I said, you know what? You called me out on that. I spent the next 2.5 years learning how to play guitar, writing 10 original songs, and going out and playing in bookstores and all that stupid crap you got to do, to the point where I was able to get 300 people at a bar to hear me play 8 originals and 2 covers.
I was thinking you played Ace of Spades at a...
No, I didn't.
In a bookstore. That would have been great.
No, I didn't do that. This was in Boston and New Jersey. So I did it, right? Now, here's the thing. And I'm not telling you a story because I want you to feel good about me. But I went into that, and they were my friends. And even after I hit an achievement, a milestone, because I did it, there were 300 people. It was great. Some people knew my songs already. They're singing along. And after that, I said, no more. I'm done. I don't need to do this. I just want to see if I could do it because someone called me out, and I did it. I do that a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's like I could be done with real estate right now, but, hey, you said $30 million? Okay, let's go get $30 million.
That's a good number.
Let's go get it.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, even when I had done it, Jason, even when I had hit that pinnacle, I think I was maybe 28 years old, and I'd done the thing that I thought was super cool and I worked for 2.5 years, people would come up to me and say, I never thought you could do it, and pat me on the back.
Oh, isn't that crazy?
Like, that's a compliment. And I'm like, you're defecating on me.
Yeah, that's right.
At my peak, at my moment, my friends are like, man, I never thought you could do it. Holy cow, who knew you could do it? I'm like, and then that was one of the realizations I had of my buddy Ted. He's still a friend today. And Ted came over and said, man, I knew you could do it. I've seen you before. There is nothing you can't do when you decide to do it. And I said, wow, out of 300 people, I've got one friend here.
Oh, that's a good point.
I've got one friend, okay? My buddy Keith, same thing, really supportive, so he listens. I want to make sure. Keith was really influential, helped me, train me, talked to me about stage presence, all that stuff, helped me craft the songs. So, again, 300 people in a bar, there's 2 friends there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what you have to be worried about. You're going to, this guy doesn't hurt me. Listen to the words. listen to it. You got to be really in that shell. You got to bounce that negativity off you. And if it comes too often, you've got to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after that, I did get rid of them.
Yeah.
And I just purged a whole bunch of people out of my life.
And you know what's crazy is when I tell folks that I do that all the time, they're like, well, you know, that's so awful that makes you such a jerk. I'm like, look, it's not that they can't call. It's not that we can't hang out from time to time. It's just that I can't have that. You know, it's kind of like, I'll give you a good example of this. When I went out and started, when I really got out my entrepreneurial path, it took about 6 months to a year to where I was at like a party with family and friends. And folks would get around and start commiserating about work, their boss and all this other stuff. And I'd literally, like, it was like nails on a chalkboard to me. Because I'm like, I don't talk like this. I can't listen to this nonsense
right, and
anymore.
it's not
the
that they're
same
not
thing.
family or friends. These are people who are in their own little hell,
Yeah,
and they want you to join them.
that's right.
And you've got to run away from those people.
Yeah, well, did you hear Susie at accounting did this, and my boss is so terrible and that, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I can't talk about any of that stuff.
Right? What are we talking about? Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Like, why are we spending all our time talking about stuff that you have? You know, it's great. I don't know if you started the book yet, but I'm going through the Daily Stoic,
Have
right?
not, no.
Like the second or third day, one of the things is there's 3 things you got to recognize, and one of them is you have to have the will to accept the things that you can't change.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Heard
there's
that
so
before.
much of this stuff where people sit there and complain about somebody else's attitude and this, and they make me feel this way and all this, and it's like, it's your choice to sit in that or not. Like,
Yep.
it's your choice. So just accept it. That's the way they are and move on. But then move them out of your life.
You gotta create distance.
Yeah.
You gotta create distance, and then be aware. Once you this clicks, then you'll see it everywhere, and you'll be like, oh, you'll see people with black clouds everywhere. They're coming down at you.
Yeah.
Oh, Robert, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah. I got it. Oh man, I got to. And I'm just like, oh, I got other stuff going on.
One of the big signs is this. I hear this all the time, and I'm like,
Here we go.
I'm like, I'm out of here. See you later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See you. Yep, I'm out. Yep. Run.
Yeah.
When you hear that exhausted, you run out of there. Nothing good is happening.
Jason, I'm just, this marketplace.
I keep trying.
I'm just,
I gotta get out of here. Dude, good luck, bro.
I'm like, really? You're trying that hard? It looks like you're getting plenty of sleep and getting a lot of, like, you don't look like you're trying that hard.
Right. See all the good food you eat on Facebook.
That's right.
On your Instagram account.
I see you linking QAnon articles. Yeah, you're really killing it here, buddy. Yeah, you are working real hard. I can tell.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you got to put them around you. And again, they don't necessarily need to be massively successful. You don't need billionaires or multimillionaires. You need folks who are on that journey with you. And that's really what's it about, right? And being able to help avoid some of the pitfalls you're moving forward. And if they're not on that journey, then make sure they're supportive. Yeah. Make sure they're supportive of you, and then in exchange, you need to be supportive of them. Trust me, you want to be the guy that supports everyone and wishes everyone the best and offers up and serves and gives value. You want that. You want to be that guy. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk about bringing value first and making yourself an influencer in the market where you can help people. This is Robert and Jason. We're from Mr. Texas Real Estate. If you haven't checked out our webpage, please do, mrtxre.com. Looks like we have our first event in the building tonight. It looks like someone set up the room. I was like, oh, look at this.
This is what professionals do,
Yeah,
right?
we got a professional thing going on tonight. So we're going to have more guys. We're dealing with COVID. We're trying to do the right thing. I know it's frustrating, but we're going to have lots and lots of events here, and there'll be lots and lots of folks that you can work with. So make sure you check us out at mrtxre.com, and you can take a look at the Texas Real Estate Investment Center there. Again, Robert and Jason here, Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We're going to be back from this break very shortly. Again, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Be right back. Yep. Hey, welcome back. This is Robert and Jason from Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Hey, guys, if you're interested in about the mastermind, buying properties, working with us in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and text us. Right? That's the thing you got to use your thumbs for at 281-401-9008. 281-401-9008. So, Jason, we're talking about the 5 closest people to you that influence your life. And we're going to talk about you becoming an influencer, you becoming a source of help and inspiration to others. And it really is easy. Just be positive.
Yeah. Well, I think there's 2 things. Positive is definitely one of them, right?
Yep.
You can't, like this whole negative stuff, like Jason, there's no, in fact, I saw it today, and I'm going to try not to bring it into the panel discussion tonight. And that is when people tell me there's a real estate crash coming, what I have realized is it has nothing to do with numbers and it has everything to do with fear.
Yeah.
They're scared of the future, right? They can't see what's going to happen, so their immediate response is the world's going to end.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not going to end. Trust me. If it didn't end during COVID, it is not going to end anytime soon. It's just fine, right?
No, in fact, you're going to get more money.
Yes, everything's going to be just fine, guys. So, but it takes an adult to sit down and say, "Hey, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Come close. Everything's going to be just fine. It's okay. Everything's going to be just fine." I think the second thing is when you've got these people in your group, you're 5, and you start asking for advice, you need to take it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is one of the, now don't get me wrong, you don't take all the advice.
Yep.
But you take it.
Yep.
And in fact, 9 times out of 10, if they ask you something, you do it. So I'll give you a great example. We're doing something right now. I'm in a group of guys. Mm-hmm. Actually, Brian brought me in. It's a group of his friends, right? All of them are successful. And one of the guys called me last night about something they're going to do with this lake house for the summer. And I almost didn't care about the numbers. I was just immediately in.
Nice.
Just because I knew the group of guys that were going to be up there and the people they were going to attract, I'm like, I'm in. Yeah. And he's like, I haven't even told you the numbers. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, I totally want to do it, right? Just count me in. It's going to be fun. I'm going to meet you're going to meet a bunch of my contacts and meet a bunch of your contacts. Yeah. Like, I'm in. It's kind of like when we do, sometimes we'll do table service. Like, we'll get a table at a club. And I'm more interested in the guys that are there. Like when we go to, we do it in Vegas. Like, I'm more interested in the guys that are around me, in the tables around me, than I am any of the other superfluous stuff. Because I'm like, all right, how are you spending $15,000 on this table, right? Like, I want to know what this guy does.
What do you do?
What do you do? What do you guys do? I mean, I end up doing that. It's almost turned into a networking event for me, right?
Everything is,
right? Yep. And so if somebody gives you some advice inside that group, it's like, you know what? You just better take it. Because here's the deal. If they truly are in your group of 5 that are a couple years ahead of you, and they are giving you that advice, then you just take it.
Yes.
Because a lot of times you don't understand the risk and reward to say no. But they're telling you, hey, if I'm doing this, or if I were in your position, I would do this. You just go do it.
All the time.
I think I would have gone, I'll tell you one that Quincy had told me years ago. And he said, Jason, you got to understand, your net worth is your network. And I'm like, yeah, that's some guru speak. Like, what does that actually mean? Mm-hmm. Until I started realizing like what that actually meant. Like, and by the way, your network is not something you build overnight and then all of a sudden, here's my team. It takes 5 or 6 years.
Can't buy it. Can't hack it.
Yep. That's why I'm like, that's why I'm so confident in the stuff that we're doing, because we have this massive network now. Right. It's like, it doesn't matter what the economy's doing. So, however, he was one of those guys that if I'd just taken that advice earlier, I would have done much better. Now, let's go back to the Mr. Texas thing. This is where it gets interesting. I talked to a guy 3 years before I met you. And one of the things he told me is he said, you need to become the authority of real estate in Texas. And I said, well, how do you do that? He said, you just ordain yourself that you're the authority for real estate in Texas. He said, do you really want to invest anywhere else? I'm like, I mean, I could do a couple of deals in SoCal. I'd love to have a place there and in Vegas and Miami, but I'm not going to be known as, the guy that does all these deals other places. I'm going to be the guy that's be known in Texas. And he said, that's what you should do. And then you come along 3 years later and said, this is what we're doing with the Mr. Texas real estate brand. And I'm like, if I had just started that, and I paid this guy $5,000 an hour.
Oh, I'm sending my bill.
Okay. So you're making more than $5,000 an hour. I can tell you that. So, in any case, it was one of those things where, like, if I'd just taken that advice and just ran with it, it would have been ideal.
The problem is in our market, there's very few good branding opportunities.
That's true.
And we were in California performing and on stage and doing all that stuff, and that where it worked very well.
Yeah.
Well, let's tell that story because we got a little more time here.
Okay.
So maybe you held a meltdown, maybe you haven't heard the meltdown. It's inconsequential. I was running a group out in LA, teaching and training and coaching and doing all that stuff about finding other markets other than California because it's so tough. And I met you, and you came out and spoke to the crowd, and we introduced you as Mr. Texas Real Estate.
Yeah.
Right? We had done that a number of times, and we did it at our office, at the hotel. It was all good, and just kind of stuck. Then when you came back, and I was maybe just a few months behind you, but no, actually a year later we came back. We were Mr. Texas Real Estate, Mr. Texas Real Estate, Mr. Texas Real Estate, and people in this market would scoff at you.
And you said that would happen. They would giggle for 6 months.
Yep.
He said they'll giggle for 6 months, and then they'll go, "Oh, wait."
Yep, and then it'll take off.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
And it has. And in our business, it's just really hard to find a good brand, and we have got a great brand.
Yeah.
Right, for sure. We're off and running on that brand. It's done very, very well for us. I think people identify with it. We just scraping the surface on some of the things we can do with Mr. Texas Real Estate. But we had an opportunity to do a brand. We looked around, had you listen to the hard money lenders and let's call them out, all the title guys and all the other investors who were snickering and mocking you at the Redneck Country Club.
Yeah.
Thank God they weren't your influencers, right?
No kidding. Well, I will tell you this. When I first told Eddie laughed and he goes, when I first heard that, I was like, this guy. And then he said, my second thought was, God, why didn't I think of that first? And so it was, to his credit, he was certainly one of the early supporters, but it was pretty funny. He's like, right. Who is this guy? And then he goes, man, that's good. That's really good. But it's a classic example of, when you don that new image, right? You're going to get all these folks that laugh and snicker and all that. And I'll tell you, one of the other things is, I always think we're 3 to 5 years ahead of the curve anyway. So it takes everybody a little while to catch up. Like be quite honest, they still don't get this building. That's what I think is so funny.
Well, you know what?
What's that?
One of the folks in our extended family, not in a mastermind, partnered with someone in our mastermind, has figured it out. He went and bought his own building.
Oh, did he?
Not too far from here.
Really?
Not for real estate, but for foreign investors who travel back and forth to Houston.
Oh, he should. I know you're talking about.
Brilliant.
Yeah, totally do that. If I know who you're talking about.
Yes, he's just too damn expensive.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally do that.
But someone saw it and said, "Oh my God, that's brilliant." Well, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I don't need to go head to head, but I have this other thing I work on. I bring a lot of foreign money. I'm going to have these places. Beautiful building where these people can drop their bag and just start working. Yeah.
Which then you tell a guy like that, like, hey, you want to partner up and do this in your industry, you can do it in our industry, right? Like you could totally do this for stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, foreign exchange.
I think if there's anything that I'm really jazzed about is to open up another center or at least acquire it by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think we can totally do that.
Get 2 and then get to 4. Hey, this is Robert. This is Jason, Mr. Texas Real Estate, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We will be back. Yeah, Russell was at his Airbnb's jet skiing, and I'm like, I know that dude. I went out and did a little day consulting with him.
Yeah,
I know. Hey, I haven't been on the jet skis yet. What's the
problem?
Yeah,
what is up with it? In fact, I think we helped them buy those properties.
Yes.
Because he told me, he's like, hey, I'm going to buy these. I think he's got 5 there.
He bought 4 and sold 1. Yeah.
I remember having that conversation with him. He's like, oh man, the jet skis, all that. And I'm like, well, that's weird. I keep checking my texts and my emails. No? It's odd. Where's
that jet ski and barbecue Saturday?
It's kind of weird, man.
Anyway, bring us back to the last one, right?
Welcome back, Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. So we're talking about the people who are closest to you, that close 5.
Yeah.
Are they really helping you grow? Are they where you want to be? And are they a couple years ahead of you and they're willing to kind of help you out in that adventure? And I think to go back to one of the 2 biggest pitfalls I think people do is, A, they're negative. In other words, they're just not negative. They're not positive people. And B, they don't take the advice when it's given to them, or they don't take the opportunities.
Boy, that will turn your mentor off in a heartbeat, right?
I knew a guy who kind of runs in some of the same circles I do, and I know for a fact that there have been deals that have been presented to this guy, like insider. They're not real estate related, but insider like business stuff,
Sure.
kind of private placements, like, hey man, we're buds. Do you want in? It's like 50 G's, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And they're like, I don't know. And then they would just like went total negative and poo-pooed the deal, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. This guy has been doing this for 25 years. And he's now a friend of yours. And he said, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm just asking 50 grand for you. Like the multiplier in this thing's ridiculous.
Right.
And then he just went negative Nancy on him. And the guy's like, okay, fine, do whatever you want. And a year and a half later, the guy's like, I should have gotten into that deal. He's like, I told you.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's the other thing. If you're going to build this 5, then you got to start taking their advice, right?
And one of the things that I've become is very protective of the 5, right? I've had people come to me and say, hey, I want you to mentor me. And I've said, nope.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Not going to do that right now. I got 3 years. I'll have all the time in the world to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do it right now. I can't let you be my 5.
No.
I did that in California. Hey, I just want to come up and work in the office.
No.
You can do that, but you're not working with me.
Yeah.
You work with Taylor.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I want to work with you. Nope, can't be a part of my 5. You got to be protective, and it doesn't mean you can't help people and be an influencer and do all that stuff. We're on the radio show. We have a podcast. We do all that stuff. We lend our knowledge. But you have to be really, really protective. And so sometimes I see guys that go out, want to be an influencer, and pick up, and it hurts them.
I see, it's very interesting. I see that more often than not. I just want to, you hear this like, I just want to give value and I just want to do this, I want to do that. And then they bring all these people in. It's like, you should not be mentoring any, you should not have any of these people in your circle.
Nope.
They're not ready. And the problem is that they get stuck on this, like, this is great. Like a lot of this stuff comes from Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Yep.
It's like, give value. But I'm like, I can tell you what Gary's days look like. And he's not surrounding himself with, he's got a hardcore 5. Now you see him on his YouTube and it's like, bro, do this and you do that.
Twice a month he'll sit down with people, but
he'll sit down with people. But who are those people? Now, who does he really sit down with? People who run huge companies.
Yes. Yep.
He's not sitting down with, oh, bro, can I pay you like $15,000 and I can follow you around? Like, we're not doing that. So the problem is that I think so many people are, and this is actually one of the things I read in the Stoic book, they're not protective of their time. Like I don't spend, it's kind of interesting. When I sit down and look at who I spend my time with, I don't spend my time with a lot of people.
No.
I spend my time with very few people.
Yeah, I'm very guarded that way. Time thieves.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
There's only a handful of people I actually spend. And actually, since Corona, it's gotten even worse, right? Because
Sure.
I'm just like, it's these literally less than it might be 8 people at this point. It might even be a dozen. But it's like, I spend my time with very few
even
folks.
less.
Yeah. That's because you don't want the Ronas.
I don't want it, man. I have a good life coming up here. I got
Yeah.
good cash retirement. I'm not going to do something stupid.
Well, I was thinking that the other day. I was like, man, life is looking real good right now. And we're going to have a place in Vegas and Miami.
Yeah,
I'm going to have the lake house. We got 12 beach houses. I'm like, life's looking pretty good.
So I don't even want to tell you what
we got some other stuff going on.
Our W-2 could look like in year 3,
Yeah,
year
it's
4.
I
don't even want to mess with it.
It's great.
But this is the stuff that we work on. We live it, right? And again, we'll get back to the webinars. We'll get back to the sessions here, and we'll dump a lot of value in that room and feel good about people. But then we're gonna leave that classroom, walk through our door, which no one has the combination to, and then go back to work into our world, right?
Yeah.
You've got to keep it clean. I see a lot of people who are not successful yet. They're not successful. How do I know? Because I have a little bit of an understanding of their business. They're not successful yet, and yet they're trying to take on, I got to give back. Not yet, man. You're way too
soon. Early.
Yeah.
You're way too early. One of the things I've always liked about Stephen Hall, and this is one of the first times we're hanging out, happy hour. One of those times I drug him all around Houston for like a weekend. And which is great. I really miss all those guys and hanging out. It's like, I can't wait for this Corona stuff to be over. But one of the things Steve told me is he said, I can tell by the language you use, and I can guess within a couple $100,000 what your net worth is and what your income is, just because he's worked with so many different people, right?
Yep.
And it's you don't have to tell me your business. I can just tell by the language you use. I
Sure.
can tell by a lot of different things.
Yep.
So when I look at these guys that immediately come out of the gate, they have 1 year of success, and they're like, "All right, I'm here to give back." And I'm like, "Dude, you hadn't even started yet."
Yeah.
If you're having this conversation about giving back and starting mentorship and all that, and you've not done this for 5 years, we were actually talking about this not last week. Early success, 9 times out of 10, is very detrimental.
Yeah.
Early success, I'm telling you, it's the 10% that they have early success and they maintain it long term, but 90% crash and burn inside of 3 years.
Yeah.
Because they start thinking they're smart by half. They start changing systems. They start doing a lot of things, especially by year 3. And you've talked about this before. Year 1, you're figuring things out, starting to build some systems. Year 2, you kind of scrap it all, and then you start building these new systems. And then by year 3, you think you're smarter than you really are, and you started abandoning what made you successful in the first place.
Big problem.
Huge problem. So, and then in year 4 and year 5, you're kind of building it all over again.
But if you can get to that year 5,
you're doing good.
You're doing really good.
You're doing really good. So I see that a lot in a lot of cases where maybe a better way to put it is, looks like they're really successful, right? It looks like this guy's doing really well, and then all of a sudden it's like they start doing the mentorship and they start doing the let's bring all these people in, and it's like, man, it is way too early.
Yep.
It's way too early.
Well, that's my thing. There's nothing good for you on Facebook.
That's right.
There's nothing good for you
there.
on Instagram. There's a lot of pretenders.
A lot of them.
And again, we know that half these people out there are just broke.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a business coach. Run away. Right? Show me your W-2. Show me your tax returns for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Let me see what you're really doing. And if it's all just those that do and those who can't do teach, right? And it's a big problem in our world of the entrepreneurship. At some point when I was getting it started here in the entrepreneur world, I felt like there were only people who were marketing about being marketers.
Yes.
I was surrounded, and I was like, I've got to get out of this. This makes no sense to me at all. I've landed in the wrong spot.
It's a derogatory term in finance is called rent seeking. Like, you don't provide any real value. You're just like selling to sell some stupid idea between your ears. Like, that's what a lot of those guys do. It's just rent seeking. It's just generating revenue for the sake of generating revenue, even though they don't provide any real value. They think they're providing value, right? They think there's this intrinsic value about, quote, hacking Clubhouse. And it's like, dude, you ain't hacking anything.
Already? Yeah.
Already. I'm already getting the hacking Clubhouse. If you guys are not familiar, that's an app on Apple right now that is a social network kind of audio thing. Anyway, so I see a lot of that stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. If you were really doing that well, why aren't you buying more real estate?
Yeah.
Like it.
I don't know. Hey, we got to wrap this up here. We've got 10 seconds left, but thanks everyone for joining us. Robert and Jason, we're at Mr. Texas Real Estate, and this is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Thanks for listening. Chef, get just so...